guys, welcome back to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm bringing to you another quick and easy weeknight dinner. This time I'm going to teach you how to make a Greek style beef and rice skillet. It's all going to come together and ready in under an hour. It's going to have all those delicious Mediterranean flavors, and it is so versatile. You can switch out a lot of things to make it so many different and new recipes. So this is going to be one that you're going to want to pay attention to and write down and make right as soon as you see this video. Let's get started with making the meat sauce. So it all starts with an onion. I like to use a large onion because it not only adds so much flavor, but it adds sweetness too. We're gonna chop it. I always say finely chop, but it's never super fine. It pretty much melts into the sauce, so it's like in between fine and roughly chopped. Okay, so I have a large skillet over medium. It's heating over medium heat. I'm gonna add all of the onions to it. And if you watched my freezer prep video with the meat sauce, you can just skip this whole step. And if you have a batch of meat sauce ready, you can just warm that up and use that and add the vegetables that you like and rice to it. That's gonna be a shortcut. That's why it's so great to have on hand. But really, like, this cooks up in no time. So I'm gonna add some olive oil now. About a quarter cup or so. And I'm gonna do what we always do. I'm gonna let it cook for about 8 to 10 minutes or until it's nice and soft and golden. In the meantime, I'm gonna chop up these garlic cloves. I have 5 garlic cloves. You can chop them or grate them. It's up to you. I wanna add a little bit of sweetness to this. It's gonna complement the onions in there. So if you're gonna grate it, it's gonna add a little bit more of a sharp garlicky flavor. So I'm just gonna go ahead and chop these up. So the onions are nice and soft. Now I'm gonna add the garlic and I'm gonna let it soften for about 5 minutes over medium heat. So I have a red bell pepper here that I'm gonna just roughly chop or dice, but you can use any vegetables you want in here. You could use any color bell pepper, red, green, yellow, whatever you have on hand. Or you can use frozen green peas, frozen vegetables. You can use zucchini in here. You can use carrots, whatever you like. This recipe is super versatile. So I'm just gonna take the seeds out and just dice it. It's all ready. Now we're gonna add the ground beef. I have a pound of ground beef here. And of course, you can use any ground poultry. You could even use ground lamb. And I'm just gonna break it up and just give it a little bit of color. At this point, we're gonna season with some salt, some black pepper. If you like heat, like I do, a little pinch of crushed red pepper flakes. Mix it all up. See how fast this comes together? I mean, if you're like me, you've got to feed a lot of people every day. We got 7 people in our family that we feed, so this is just the perfect meal. Perfect, everybody likes it. Now I'm gonna open up a can of, these are diced tomatoes. I don't need the whole thing, I'm just gonna use half of it. And the best thing about this is, like, whatever is left over, you can put it in a little Ziploc bag and just freeze it. I prefer to freeze it rather than to refrigerate it because, of course, you can also put it in the refrigerator. But a lot of times I'll forget that it's there and it goes bad. But for some reason, I always check the freezer before I check the refrigerator. So I'm just going to put it in a little Ziploc bag and do that. Now I'm just going to cook this down until the tomatoes are pretty much melted. It's going to take about 15 minutes over high heat. So while that's going on, you're gonna wanna soak your rice. My favorite rice to use is Basmati rice because it's really nice and light and it cooks up really quickly and stays separate and really nice and fluffy. I have it over here, 1.5 cups actually, for a pound of beef is perfect. What you're gonna wanna do is put it in a bowl and rinse it out a few times until the water runs clear and let it soak for about 10 minutes in that cold water. So that way it's ready to go. Then we're just gonna drain that water out and add it to the beef once we're done. Now I'm gonna add the bell peppers and I'm gonna let them cook for about 5 minutes until they soften over medium-high heat. And I'm gonna finally chop some fresh parsley. Let's just keep mixing it around to make sure that it doesn't burn. That smells so good. I cannot wait for this to be ready. This right here itself is a meal. I mean, if you're doing low carb, you can just take this as it is and enjoy it over a salad. I mean, it tastes absolutely amazing. Or if you're not doing low carb and you want to stuff this into a pita, delicious. Okay, so at this point you want to give it a taste to make sure that the meat is seasoned because we are going to add some salt with the rice, but you want to make sure that everything is seasoned well for maximum flavor. So good. I love the combination of bell pepper and beef. Now I'm gonna add the chopped parsley. Of course, you can use dill instead, or even basil. That's really nice. You wanna give it a little bit of a Southwest type of Mexican flair. You could do cilantro. Okay, this is ready to go. Now we're gonna add the rice. I drained the water out. Add that to the pan with, there's a cup and a half of rice. I'm gonna do a teaspoon and a half of salt. And the water, I have a cup and a half of water. Make sure I get. Now this is simple. I'm just gonna mix it all up, bring it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm gonna reduce the heat to low so that way it can simmer. And I'm gonna put the lid back on and I'm gonna let it simmer on low heat for 15 minutes or until the rice is nice and perfectly cooked actually. And I will show you what it looks like as soon as it's there. After 15 minutes are over, go in and fluff it up, and now it is ready to serve. Of course, I like to serve it with some crumbled feta cheese on top because, you know, feta makes everything better. I mean, at least in my world it does. A little bit of tzatziki on the side would definitely not hurt. I would just serve this on the table with some feta, tzatziki, and a nice salad, and you are good to go. Smells amazing. Time to take a bite. I want to make sure I have a little bit of everything in here. You guys need this in your life. Ready in under an hour. Loaded with flavor. So delicious, especially with that feta cheese on top. The recipe is underneath the video in the description box down below. If you want to learn how to make more recipes like this, one skillet wonders that are ready in like under an hour, you're going to want to click on this playlist right over here, and I'll see you right over there. Yes,